When I was 20, I built a successful dropshipping store that made me over $180,000 in sales. And it all started with the final $50 I had in my bank account. Let me give you a bit of context so you can understand all of this. It all started back in 2017 when I first started dropshipping at the age of 18. I was able to get my first results after only a couple of months of trial and error. I made around $15,000 in total revenue, and I was using Instagram theme pages to promote my store. This was a great way to generate traffic to your Shopify store because it was very cheap and you could reach a lot of people. The technique I used was to create a store in a very passionate audience where there wasn't too much competition. What I ended up doing was that I targeted Stranger Things fans by selling merch and accessories in that theme. You can say that I got lucky by getting my first results so quickly, and you might be right. It quickly turned into a chore for me when I was spending my days manually processing orders on AliExpress and responding to angry customers. I felt like I was scamming people because of all the complaints I was getting, which really affected me because I wanted to do things ethically. After a few months of doing this, I got so tired and demoralized by dealing with all this negativity that I decided to quit dropshipping for good. What I didn't know is that this was only the beginning and I was about to experience the worst time of my life. I fell into depression pretty quickly after that because I was procrastinating so much even though I had big ambitions. To be honest, it felt so easy at first and it was super motivating to see the first result. But I quickly got used to it and it got harder and harder to keep the business running. Fast forward to a year later, I finally recovered from my depression and I started new businesses again. Like I said, I stayed far away from dropshipping and I was trying out a bunch of different online businesses. For example, I started a digital marketing agency, I tried coaching people here and there, and I also made a few YouTube videos. Of course, all the businesses failed because I didn't really have any skills and the learning curve was steep. During this time, I also decided to move to Thailand with my remaining savings, which was around $1,000. I was really tired of living in France with my parents and I wanted to become totally self-sufficient. After experiencing the worst year of my life, I knew I had to totally change my environment in order for me to grow. So with a friend I met through a dropshipping Facebook group, we left France and moved to Thailand. After a few months of living there, to not say surviving, I was down to my final $50. It was literally all I had left to my name. I had no other savings, no safety nets, no nothing. And I also didn't have any source of income whatsoever due to all my failed businesses. This was the lowest financial point for me, and money could literally solve all the problems I had back then. And then it happened. The moment my brain switched into survival mode. Everything I previously thought or learned was out the window and I had only one focus: making money. This was the first time I was experiencing anything like this. It was like if my animal instincts took over. I didn't care about anything anymore and I never felt so determined in my life. I still remember writing down the pros and cons of starting dropshipping again. For me, dropshipping was something that I never wanted to do again because of all the pain it caused me. The pressure, feeling like I was stealing people's money, it was all too much. But this time, I had no other choice. It was a pretty rational decision for me because it was the only thing where I knew I could make money. And with this new money-oriented mindset, I didn't really care about the negativity or the ethical side of things. I had to put food on the table. This time around, I was going to do things efficiently. I decided to go with the same niche as before because my previous experience would give me the competitive edge I needed. I already knew exactly what I had to do and I started grinding right away. I had only $50 to start this new store, but it was also all the money I had for food. My $80 rent was covered for another week or so, and that was it. There was no turning back now. So I started by creating the Shopify store with the 2-week free trial. It took me around 2.5 days of solid grind to get it out of the way. It usually takes a lot less time to build a Shopify store when you've done it as many times as I did, but I imported almost 100 products from AliExpress and there was a lot of manual sorting to do. I wanted to have enough products so that I would be able to promote a wide variety of items. Then I started contacting a bunch of Instagram theme pages to collab. I started out with 2 pages, one of them was $20 and the other one was $10. It might not seem like a lot, but it was over half of my budget, so I was really counting on those pages to perform. In total, it took me 3 days of working non-stop from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., but I did it. I had to launch the store fast because I literally had no time to spare. And then it hit me. What if it didn't work anymore? What if I just spent the last money I had on pages that wouldn't perform? Or even worse, what if they scammed me and bought all their followers? I started doubting myself and I could already see myself having to go back to live with my parents, which was the last thing I wanted to do. After all, my goal when I left was to become totally independent and there was no way I would go back to France with another L. So I went through with it anyways because I came this far and I wouldn't give up without a proper fight. And fortunately, it worked out. By the end of the week, I generated almost $200 in profit, which was enough to pay for my rent and cover a part of my living expenses for the following month. I was feeling so relieved just to have enough money to continue living my life in Thailand, and it took a huge weight off my shoulders. I kept on collaborating with more pages, and the following week I was able to generate around $500 in profit, which was so crazy to me at that time. After a week and a half of promoting my store on small pages, I had a bit more money to play with and I decided to work with a bigger page. The one I settled on had almost 1 million followers and I never worked with a page that was so big. I was able to negotiate the price down to $100, which was a lot of money for me at the time. I know it seems ridiculous now to spend $100 on such a massive page, but it's still possible to find deals like this when you find the right niche. Anyways, I PayPal'd the money to the page, hoping that I wouldn't lose my money. The ads started running pretty late in my time zone, so I went to bed before I could see any result. When I woke up, things got crazy. I did around $800 in sales that day, which was so much considering the fact that I had high margins and I started with only $50. I rarely did big numbers like this before and I didn't even think it was possible. It really opened my eyes to the potential that this store had and what I was missing out on. I kept working with this page and many others to the point where I was spending almost $1,000 a week on those placements. This time, I didn't make the same mistake and I quickly outsourced the customer service so I didn't have to deal with the customers. All in all, I was able to generate around $180,000 in revenue with that store in around a year and a half. After the initial grind, I slowly outsourced everything and was able to work only a few hours a week on this store. It slowly died down eventually and the store got banned, but this experience is really what opened my eyes to the potential of dropshipping and e-commerce. Today, I've done over 7 figures with my dropshipping stores and I'm currently working on building a brand. This initial store that I started from a place of fear and survival was really what set me on the right path. I am now more determined than ever to grow an e-commerce empire and I'm excited for you to join me along this journey. I will do a separate video on how I would start all of this again and start dropshipping with $50, so subscribe if you don't want to miss out. With this said, I'll catch you next week. Peace out.